Hello, my name is William, the Avid reader, and today I am reviewing Down and Out in Paris and London, written by George Orwell in 1933. So this is Orwell's first book, his true name being Eric Blair, but yeah, most of his books are novels, but he wrote a few non-fiction ones, and this is his first book. And it's a memoir about his life in poverty in Paris. First half is in Paris, second half is in London. And I assume that it takes place in the 20s, but he never says when it exactly takes place, but presumably it takes place after World War One, but before 30, so in the 20s. So that's ironic that it takes place during the Roaring 20s. So it is a memoir. So the first part, Paris. So he has a friend there, a Russian officer. I think he was a Russian officer, Boris. Who previously has had mistresses, and Orwell has been fired from a job of teaching English in Paris. So now he's poor and broke, and he's looking for work, looking for a way. He goes to Boris because Boris has said that he can help him, but Boris is now deep, and Boris used to be a waiter, but he's lost his job too. And they go looking for jobs, and they have to depend on small money, and the most important is paying the rent for the small place where they're staying at, because if you don't pay, then they take your stuff, everything, I believe, yeah. And first they get to see these communists. They believe they are communists, and they're supposed to write. Orwell is supposed to write communist propaganda for them on Great Britain, but it's a scheme. It's a Ponzi scheme, so they just lose money from them. They're not really communists. They're just pretenders to get Russians who look for other Russians to steal money. Yeah, scam. And then there's this restaurateur. They're looking to work at the Auberge de Jean Cotard, and he says he's going to open soon, but he takes a while to open, so they go working at Hotel X, and they work as plongeurs. And here you get to see the rudeness of French culture, and you've got a lot of Italians working there, the waiters, and there's a hierarchy of the restaurant is run. And they say that the more expensive the restaurant, the worse the food is, and more dirty it is, because there's so much to do, and they work long hours. They work like what? I think they start working maybe 7 in the morning, and then they finish working at 9. So yeah, 14 hours at least, probably more. And you've got a hierarchy, so you got the patron, and then you've got the chef de personnel, you've got the head cook, and then you've got the cooks, and under them you've got the waiters, and under them you have the plongeurs, who are those who assist in things. And that's what Orwell and Boris work as. Well, he's George, so let's call him George maybe, but no, Orwell. And then the Auberge de Jean Cotard finally opens, and they work harder and the pay is worse. And then when his English friend B has written that there's work for him to take care of a mentally challenged person, I believe it is, a cripple or something like that, then he abandons his job and travels to London. And and they've slept on benches previously in Paris, and they got drunk in the bistros of French bars. And when he leaves the auberge, wages go up suddenly, and Boris gets paid better and things like that. And yeah, and so Orwell travels to London, and he gets to learn that people are supposed to work for are away, and they won't be back for a month. So he's without a job for a month. So he becomes a tramp, and he walks around, goes from place to place. He gets to befriend an Irishman called Paddy, gets to meet a guy who does screwing, use chalks to draw on the pavement. He's called Bozo, and he borrows Orwell from time to time, George from time to time money. And here you get to see in London that the poor class are much more polite than in Paris. Because in London you don't swear in front of a woman. In France they don't. In Paris they don't really care. In Paris you get drunk and you can sleep on the benches. While in London they don't get drunk that much usually. And they go to these. They may get to see the Salvation Army, a Christian charity, where the people are not grateful for getting food and tea and lodgings, and they disrupt the ceremonies right after they've gotten their meals, and so they're not grateful. Tramps are not, these so-called tramps, these poor people are not grateful for being helped by the Salvation Army, but the Salvation Army usually is self-righteous, so yeah. And they then go to the spikes, so it's where you go if you're desperate. So you can go to one at a time per day and sleep there. And you've got the Tramp major there. Yeah, it's like a prison. You spend half your day in there, and then you're screwing around outside. It's like a prison, and the showers close, the food, and they throw away the people in the kitchen, the barras or something like that. They throw away the good food because if you're a tramp, you're supposed to feel bad of being here. You're supposed to still be a bit hungry. You're not supposed. The conditions should be bad, so that you don't come back. And Orwell, at the end of the book, Orwell proposes some solutions to help the tramps in London. So to help them, he believes the government should institute some regulations on these lodgings. So get a bit of better beds, get some better food, and then in the spikes they should form these small farms so they can work and become partially self-sufficient, and they slowly but surely the tramps will raise their the standard of living, and maybe even get married, because if you're a tramp you don't get married, and almost all tramps are men. So, and men never marry a class above them. It's always equal or under, and they don't have that opportunity if you're a tramp. So yes, so this is it's interesting reading about poverty in Paris and London in the 20s, the so-called roaring 20s. And you get to learn that the working class are not lazy. It's just like when you're hungry and they walk around from place to place to find somewhere to sleep. They're exhausted. They don't have any energy to do anything. They waste all these hours when the government could be putting them to work, and that's always view. And he thinks it's sad, but it's not the tramp's fault. And the intellectuals and those who read don't misunderstand them, he believes. So yeah, so that's Orwell's memoir, Down and Out in Paris and London. So how would I rank this book? So I would say it's 7 out of 10. So yeah, it's it's exposed as reality, and it's short. And it describes what it's supposed to do, but it's not something. It's not a great book. It's decent. I preferred Burmese Days, and Animal Farm and 1984 are better. Yeah, so of these four Orwell's books I've read so far, this is one the least good, but this is still a decent book, 7 out of 10. So yeah, so this was the Avid Reader's review of Down and Out in Paris and London, written by George Orwell in 1933. I hope you enjoyed this review. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe and share. I am the Avid Reader, and I will see you guys next time.